This is the Between Two Firms podcast, episode 14.
Wait a minute. Let's reframe this just one second.
These are good problems to have.
And what we can do with money to help our family over generations.
Been working towards my entire career when I decided, you know what, I think I need to do my own thing.
And I'm like, awesome.
Matt, it's been a minute, dude. I haven't seen you in 3 weeks since our last episode. How are you? How have you been?
That's accurate. Haven't seen each other's face at all these last 3 weeks.
Matt and I work.
We get in a different time. We might work 6 feet from each other.
Yeah.
But we work on different sides of the hall. We get in at slightly different times.
Work on different projects.
I normally stay here quite a bit later on the average.
Because he shows up at noon.
And so we don't really get much FaceTime. But
The only time that we really talk to each other is when we're doing these. And so without these as a forcing function for us to have interaction, we're just like two ships passing in the night, you know?
yeah.
There's nothing there. It's good to see you. You look great. It's good to see you. And the element is that in the room is that it has been 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks since we put out an episode. Unsatisfactory. And I will nobly place the blame on Matt. I'll say this is you know.
Yeah, I'm not involved at all in the scheduling of guests. I'm more on the production of the episode side of things, but I somehow,
Matt, as the showrunner supreme,
I missed the memo.
The showrunner supreme is responsible for everything the show does or fails to do. If that's not in the manual, that should be. No, jokes aside, I think we talked about it a little bit on one of the previous intros, but we've had some lessons learned. We've only been at this. This is our first real tax season, full time. And so, you know, there was some poor assumptions that we made, and first among those would be, you know, starting an accounting themed and accounting firm owner themed podcast going into tax season. That was probably not super wise.
Yeah. All right. We started these back in December, and
we should have, if we had a mulligan, and we got a do-over, probably should have had twice as many episodes like in
cash
in the strategic reserve before we started posting them, because we underestimated both our own time constraints during tax season, like, you know, just the time it takes for us to prep, record, people.
You found it challenging to do the actual recruiting pipeline.
And that was the other issue.
That's been surprisingly time consuming for you.
It got difficult to get people on, understandably so, because you folks listening are presumably busy slinging tax returns, doing the Lord's work. So anyway, we underestimated the time demands both on ourselves and on our guests of tax season, but we have learned from that mistake, and we will not make the same mistake again. So forgive us for our 3-week hiatus. Going forward, the plan is we're going to do one of these every 2 weeks while we get caught up and build our reserve back up. And then once we're in a good place where we want to be, we will resume the weekly cadence. And then next tax season, we'll evaluate whether we need to drop to an every 2-week rhythm or just go into tax season with a stockpile of stale episodes. Well,
we have a much more multi-pronged directed effort towards finding guests, and then the production has become more systematized as well.
Yes, and a key prong in that multi-prong approach is you folks listening. If you'd like to come out and be a guest, we would love to have you. We're going to have a link in the show notes that you can click on and fill out our little intake sheet. Or if you're on Realize, if you're a Jason Stats person, you're on Realize, you're in the tax Discord, or LinkedIn. That's the big one. Everybody's on LinkedIn. Reach out, shoot me a message, and we'd love to have you. We'll get you scheduled, and we'd love to have you on. So help us out. Now that tax season's over, there's no excuse. Come on out and have a chat with Matt and I. Right, Matt? That's nodding in agreement. Matt's nodding in agreement. Okay,
That's right.
Cool. Well, let's move on then, and let's do a quick firm update. What do you think?
Yep. Let's hit the abbreviated firm update.
You want to do it, or should I?
Well, it's on both sides, right? So do you want to cover what's your portion? What's on the tax side?
What did we say? What was the firm update? I don't even remember. Nothing's happened in the last 3 weeks. We've just been completely dormant. So you got to jog my memory. What have we been up to?
I guess the main thing was kind of the bookkeeping, I guess, hit its apex slightly before tax season.
Yes.
And then as the tax side crescendo, the bookkeeping has slowly been attacking the tail of the overdue stuff.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. So our scorecard. Yeah, so bookkeeping, we were far over capacity on bookkeeping, and we've implemented systems to prevent that from happening again. We've hired. I'll leave it up to the editor if you want to cue the music and play the Bon Jovi spiel. But we have started through the updates to our systems and our wonderful new teammate, Jovi. We've been chipping away at our backlog. No thanks to Matt. Just new systems and Jovi. No credit whatsoever to Matt. We've been chipping away at the backlog, and yeah, at its peak, we had 977 budget. I got it pulled up. Budgeted hours of bookkeeping work. That was overdue, and we have. I don't even know if we should say that out loud. People are gonna be like, "Who the hell? Who are these idiots? Who are these idiots? Why did these guys sign this much work?" Well, we're working on it. Okay. We're working on it. We're working on it. So we've got some.
You can field these inquiries directly to Nick's office.
I'll just forward them. I'll forward them to Matt. A lot of that 900
Too good a salesman.
77 hours is the result of like 2 giant cleanups that go back like 3 years. That the client understands the timeline on those, but still, we don't want to be operating from a position of having 900 hours on the books.
Yeah.
And so
I bought you a DVD copy of Glengarry Glen Ross, and you took it a little bit too much to
always
heart
be closed. Always be closing. So we've taken a break from the ABC mentality, and we're grinding through this backlog and chipping away at it. And we actually had a great success. We managed to so part of the backlog is we had 7 cleanup projects open, which was also a lesson learned for us. Not something we'll be doing again. We're gonna try to limit our cleanups to 2 at a time, at least with our current capacity. So last week we killed one of those 7, the first domino to fall of those 7. So we're down to 6 cleanups, which was a big win for us. Because the cleanups, well, we'll talk about it. I don't want to steal the episode's thunder. We'll talk about how we think through our bookkeeping and how our bookkeeping system works. People listening are now like, I don't want to hear anything about bookkeeping systems from the idiots. 900 hours of bookkeeping that they got to catch up.
It's the impetus for an evolving
was the
framework.
impetus. Yes, for the evolving framework. But all right, that's the real transparent view of that's the no shit. This is where we're at. So, yeah, we've been chipping away and making steady progress. That's the firm update.
All right. So what we decided to discuss in today's we said we were going to do these once every 4 episodes. yeah, roughly monthly, but due to the previously outlined constraints, we decided to do another one sooner. And the topic of today's kind of firm deep dive, title pending still, would be
Firm deep dive. I think that's a good one.
would be the bookkeeping process. that is so obviously worth emulating.
Our magic proprietary framework for approaching bookkeeping work. And for those of you listening, what we're about to share is invaluable. Okay, so I mean, if you rip this off, you too could be 6 months behind on project work. So, I mean, it's a real problem. It is a real problem, but it's a good problem to have, and we've solved it, I think. So, give it 3 months, and we'll be caught back up, man. But anyway, you wanna should we dive into the episode? You wanna go ahead and send it?
Yeah. Let's
You're like,
discuss.
Yeah, that was the whole point of my
Yeah.
transition. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, I'm caught up.
Where shall we begin? Do you want to start with sales or?
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. So what we want to do today is talk through A to Z how our bookkeeping process works, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just a transparent view of how we approach bookkeeping, how we package it, how we sell it, how we deliver it, and what the client experience is like. By no means do we represent that our system is perfect. There's definitely things that we know we want to improve, things that we've kind of talked about, and we might hit some of those. But yeah, this is like the current state of the bookkeeping side of our practice. So, yeah, I think we start at the sales process. So right now, our bookkeeping client base is a hodgepodge. Is that the appropriate? Would you describe it as a hodgepodge?
It's diverse.
Diverse. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's got a positive connotation to it. Yes, we practice diversity in our bookkeeping client list. So right now, as we start the process at the sale, we don't really have any filters in place to to weed out bad fit clients or poor fit clients. Pretty much the way it works is a new client approaches us, and the first step is for them to book a discovery call where we'll talk through their needs, kind of what they do, who they are, where they're trying to go, and develop a solution for them. That was a major, or that has been, I think, a major kind of breaking point for us that happened during this tax season. So outside of tax season, that system was working fine. We really weren't getting, we didn't really have an issue with that system. But then as soon as tax season started, pretty much all free time or all non-scheduled time started being taken up by discovery calls, which in hindsight is probably pretty predictable, but it was shocked Pikachu face for us. So
yeah. We're soon to implement just a basic. I mean, internally we're thinking of it as like a client application process, but really it's just to determine, just at the most basic level, if somebody would absolutely not be a good fit. And like the main, just as an example, there's a few different things, but like the main thing on the bookkeeping side would be willingness to use Financial Sense
the client portal
and QuickBooks.
Yeah.
Because we don't operate any other way. And so Nick having his afternoon booked up with discovery calls with prospective clients that may not even meet that prerequisite, we just found to be non-productive. Yeah.
So Matt has been working on redoing our website, which needed an overhaul anyway. And then part of that overhaul, the most important piece of that overhaul, excuse me, is going to be building in the kind of client intake sheet questionnaire. And so right now, again, all incoming traffic or inquiries is directed straight to my calendar link. And then again, not probably kind of dumb in hindsight, but it worked until it didn't. Going forward, all client traffic inquiries will be directed to the website intake sheet, and then that intake sheet will kind of be a logic-based questionnaire. And if folks make it to the end, then they'll be invited to schedule a call. So that's kind of where we're at and where we're trying to go. So from there, we do the discovery call. For bookkeeping, it's usually a 2-call close. So on the discovery call, I've got my little script, and really what we're looking to do is we're looking to get to know the client or the prospect. What are their needs? What do they do? Where are they trying to go? How can we help them get there? And we're just information gathering. Really the primary end state of, or kind of what we're looking for, the minimum requirement for that discovery call is we need to get the information that we need in order to put together the quote or the solution for the follow-up call, which we call the solutions call. So typically what that'll look like is we just get access to the QBO file, if there is one. We'll just have them invite us as an accountant, and then we can jump in and get the information we need to price and scope. However, we do have some clients that are starting from scratch and will have QBO files. And so in those cases, we'll just request the previous 3 months bank statements in lieu of QBO.
Yeah, and we have we'll just say a V1 pricing calculator that you put together some time ago.
V1. I think this is probably a V4.
Well,
maybe
okay.
V5. Maybe.
V5. We have a V5 pricing calculator that could probably still be improved a bit, but it's functional, and that gives us a good baseline for our for how you would put together a list of services in the solutions call.
Yeah, and so right now, the way we price the bookkeeping, it's pretty simple. So all of our pricing, what we try to do is we try to convert what the client needs done into an amount of time. And then based on our capacity, where we're at relative to capacity, informs the value or the price that we put on that time. So basically what our pricing calculator is really doing is estimating the amount of time that we think the engagement's going to take. And then from there, we can price it variably based on, where we're at. But right now, the metrics or the criteria we use to price is transactions per month for bookkeeping, transactions per month on average, number of bank accounts or credit card accounts that need to be reconciled, number of loans, number of additional owners or additional points of contact. So if you got a 2-partner business and we're going to be communicating with both partners, then there'd be a 1 there. There's 1 additional. Just basically each additional point of contact takes up time, and there's potential back and forth there. And then number of employees for folks that have payroll. That's kind of the current list. Now, and then each one of those has an amount of time in hours. So 1 transaction we estimate takes about 3 minutes on the high side. Reconciling a bank account, 30 minutes, right? And then it kind of goes down from there. And using all those metrics, we plug that in, and that spits out the total number of hours we anticipate spending on that client's monthly bookkeeping. From there, once we have the total number of hours, we just run it through our target rates. So we have our target rate for bookkeeping, which right now, our target rate for bookkeeping is $115 an hour. That's the current target rate. So it's just easy math. If we think it's going to take 5 hours, we multiply 5 by 115, and we get public math $575, right? And that's our monthly price for our base level. Now, we offer 3 levels using Ignition. So we use Ignition to present our quotes. And so we'll prep the proposal between the 2 calls, and we'll put together a 3-tier proposal that'll have the base level at, in the example I gave, $575. And then we've got 2 additional levels, the middle level and the top level. And the only real differences there right now are advisory support. So the middle level will have, hey, we're going to meet quarterly in addition to doing the monthly bookkeeping. And the top level says we're going to meet monthly. We've talked about changing that, making changes to kind of what's included in each.
We're planning to do, and it's got held up by the
Tax season.
imminence of the end of tax season, the tax season deadline. Just a comprehensive overhaul of the service library. And so at that point, maybe the pricing calculator would get another pass. But kind of as we build our learned expertise in different industries and like the different requirements people have, and what we're capable and comfortable offering to them, we can both do more and price better.
Yeah, no, that's right. Like right now, our pricing calculator is pretty generic, and it just covers like bare bones bookkeeping, categorization, reconciliation, reports. Moving forward, we want to have options for, you need bill pay, right? And like that's already built into the pricing calculator. We can price that really quickly. Do you need spend management or ramp? Do you need help with spend management? Okay, great. We can help with that. Do you need, insert random report that's specific to the client?
Yeah, the big one was vendor tracking for 1099s.
Yeah, 1099s, vendor tracking. Do you want W-9 tracking? Like, yeah, we can. And so we're trying to add all these kind of things into the calculator so that we can make our proposals more customized and more bespoke. But that's a work in progress. Right now, this is what I described is how we're doing it. So from there, that'll give us a monthly quote that we're going to present to the client. And then what we've started doing, that if for folks that aren't doing it, I would highly recommend. I'm sure Matt would probably do the same. We used to just pitch hey, here's the monthly price, and then we would talk about a cleanup separately, and just like leave it up to the client if they wanted to have a bookkeeping cleanup. We're moving away. We've moved away from that to now, at a minimum, the client will have a cleanup to the prior tax return. So January 1st for most clients. Because what we found, which may be obvious to some of you listening, but what we found was that folks who were unwilling to pay for a cleanup probably aren't the best clients and the clients that we want to be working with. And it's hard to do a good job monthly bookkeeping if the first quarter of the year, half of the year, is a total dumpster fire.
It also created some difficulties. Like if you're the one doing the taxes, and then it's awkward for pricing where like you say that, okay, we're going to do your taxes, and then the state of the bookkeeping, our prior system, for a lot of people was just we kind of.
Yeah, that was kind of the problem. Originally we were like,
it didn't meet our review standards. Essentially, is whatever happened before. We kind of
before what we were doing is, if we're not doing your tax return, then we'll just start with the monthly and we won't bother with the cleanup unless you want to. And we obviously will recommend doing the cleanup, but hey, we're not doing the tax return. But then what we found is people who had said, oh no, I don't need to do the tax return, whatever. All of a sudden it's December and they're like, hey, actually, can you do the tax return? And now you're like, oh man, like we really should have cleaned you up then, right? And it's just best practice, right? I mean, again, it's just like it's a who's the target client, and as we've gotten close, as we have approached and then exceeded our capacity, our bar for like target clients has continued to move up. Maybe not as fast as it should have, but if clients aren't willing to clean up, if clients don't take their own bookkeeping seriously enough to clean it up, then they're probably not the kind of client that we need to be working with. So that's kind of our somewhat recent. It's not brand new, but we've been doing that a few months now. Is saying, hey, if we're gonna take you out as a bookkeeping client, we got to do a cleanup. And then from there, we spend a lot of time on pricing, but from there we jump on we call it the solutions call. It's the second call, and that's where I'll walk the client through the proposal, answer whatever questions they have, and then hopefully lock the deal on.
Get the sale. Yeah.
Or conclude that we're not a good fit, and everybody moves on. So
Yeah.
that's basically the sales process. So from there, once the client agrees to the proposal and signs, again, we're using Ignition. So when they're presented the proposal, they select their option, and then they will actually sign our engagement letter as part of the acceptance process. They'll sign the engagement letter. They'll sign the 7216 disclosure, and that's it. So they sign everything, and they also put in, critically, they put in their billing information. So we bill up front on most everything. So there's no AR. Like, everything's billed up front. So Ignition handles all of that. From there, Ignition will push a project template into our project management system, Financial Sense. So if somebody signs up for monthly bookkeeping, Ignition is going to send and have Financial Sense create a monthly bookkeeping onboarding, and the first month of the monthly bookkeeping, those two projects are going to get created in Financial Sense. We have had some issues with the Ignition to Financial Sense integration. So we've had some issues where projects haven't been sent through correctly. I'm hopeful that those issues will not continue. But
I
now,
don't have to expound upon that necessarily. I mean, it hasn't been that big of an issue yet, but if other people are having it,
yeah, I don't know if other folks
we're actively looking into it to see what.
Yeah, I say that to
the
say
issues
if other
and
folks are
resolve it.
using Ignition and Financial Sense, just be advised that's a potential issue we've had. And the problem with issues like that, right? Not to go down a rabbit hole, but that's like the kind of issue where if you got a bunch of proposals getting signed, especially during tax season, it's the kind of issue that if the thing doesn't work 100% of the time, then you still have to check it every time.
Yeah,
It's not
it
saving
creates
you
some paranoia and
Yeah,
potentially
like
missed.
missed opportunities.
Well,
Yeah.
you would hope no potential missed opportunities, but
So from there, the relevant projects are created in Financial Sense. And so, again, the projects for a new bookkeeping client are onboarding. That's its own project in the practice management system, and the first month's monthly bookkeeping. Onboarding has a green tag on it in our system that says onboarding. And onboarding projects firm-wide are our number one priority. So all the work that we do is prioritized. We have 7 priority levels, and priority level 1 for everybody who it's relevant to is onboarding, because the thought process is that the first 24, 48 hours that the client interacts with us sets the tone for the nature of the relationship and the engagement. And so we want those first 2 days, 3 days to be super tight. We want the client to get into the portal quickly, do their onboarding tasks quickly, because what we found is that when things lag and delay, it sets a tone with the client that things aren't urgent and that they can get back to us whenever. And it's not it doesn't set a healthy tone for the engagement. So we take the onboarding very seriously. Well, Matt, you do the onboarding now. So do you want to talk through the onboarding process?
Yeah. So after the solutions call, when the onboarding project is hopefully created, there's a bunch of tasks that are automatically generated for the client to complete. A bunch of it is just kind of stuff that we want to have on file, just for our records if we're going to be working with them long term. And in doing so, it familiarizes them to the portal if they haven't used it before. But then the last portion of the onboarding sequence, after we've collected like the basic documentation, would be to do an onboarding call, which there's been a recent change over tax season. And logically, it just makes more sense. But it was originally Nick, and then we had well, we took on several larger clients, and then just with the tax stuff going on as well, it just made more sense if I'm the one doing the bookkeeping, that I would have basically an opportunity before the bookkeeping starts to talk to the client and ask whatever questions I have, which I have had more and more questions for people as they come in, and then they get an opportunity to ask whatever they want of me that they may have not thought about, or didn't get answered in one of the previous calls. So we do that, and then that generally marks the beginning of the actual bookkeeping, the month-to-month bookkeeping. And yeah, depending upon which tier, which service level they're on, we have like a different frequency of communication with them. For some people too, if they're jumping payroll systems, because right now we only support Gusto. We have a lot of people that would come to us from QuickBooks Online. We jump them to Gusto, so that would be done kind of in parallel. And then yeah, I think it's a fairly standard bookkeeping process.
Well, let's pause for a second. So on the onboarding real fast, and Matt hit basically all of it, but we attempt to collect, you mentioned it, but we attempt to collect what we call their entity documents or their admin documents. And so we try to, at the beginning, upfront, collect all, their EIN letter, their articles of organization, their partnership agreement or operating agreement, if they have one, their 2553 election, if they're an S corp, right? Like their prior year tax return. We try to gather up all these things that we might need in the future, an asset list and a bank account or an account.
It's already a big flurry of
activity and
of requests and activity, so it's good
Right.
to kind of try to get that done up front.
Yeah, and what we found is a lot of people, maybe I'm just giving away, like maybe I'm just outing ourselves as like the type of clients that we've gotten that anyway. But a lot of clients don't have all that stuff readily on hand, or as readily on hand as you might expect, and so it's good to just collect all that up front when you don't need it, versus like all of a sudden there's
When
a
it's
need
time
for
sensitive,
it. Yeah, and we're trying to find this thing that may or may not exist. It also has saved us a few times from taking everything. I mean, just good due diligence, because sometimes the client will say one thing, but the paperwork will say something else, and so it's just best practice we found.
Especially depending upon if they're an organization with like a lot of different points of contact, and then the person that you're asking about one thing might not have the full picture. So
Right.
you have the documents on hand.
Yeah, just a good trust but verify kind of step.
Yeah.
So we'll collect all the documents, and then Matt kind of walked the rest of it. So during that onboarding call, the key things that we're hitting are Matt, who is in his capacity as what we call the bookkeeping pod leader. So he's the person responsible for signing off on all the books and sending them out. He sends out the monthly reports. He's the reviewer.
Which we get to.
We'll get there. But in that capacity, Matt is running the onboarding call, getting to know the client. We've done the handoff from sales, which is me, to Matt, the bookkeeping team. And then he walks them through all the systems and lets them know what to expect. And in my opinion, a lesson we continue to learn is, especially for anybody that's not doing an onboarding call, which if you're not, I would highly recommend doing it. I think from my perspective, I think the most important part of the onboarding call, I mean, the whole thing's very important. The most important part is the setting of expectations, because
I should have mentioned that, but yeah, I think that is another part where it's helpful that I, as the person doing the work and sending the deliverables out, has an opportunity to
that's Matt's polite way. That's Matt's polite way of saying that I've gotten better about it, but I tend to make big promises and then just throw them at Matt for delivery. And so I agree, having the guy who's actually got to deliver.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to be pretty candid about. I think what we heard from Perry was a good kind of just stock line to have. Would be like the first 90 days is kind of like maybe I'm not going to say like a probationary period, but that's effectively what it is, where we're trying to figure out all that there is to know about the inflows and outflows, and then kind of package that into our deliverables cycle.
Yeah. No, and just all these little things about like how we work and where we have boundaries and like what's in scope and what's out of scope. Like,
yeah, and there's still part of that. There's still part of that should happen in upstream, but
it has been more and more. We're getting better about it.
The onboarding is definitely another good touch point to reinforce kind of the
healthy
what they can expect from us and what we kind of expect from them.
As importantly, what we expect from them. Yeah.
In order to have like a mutually beneficial long-term professional engagement.
Yeah. Of course. So okay, so that's onboarding, right? So we finished the onboarding task, and critically, we haven't mentioned Marissa yet, or customer success, but we've got, so within the bookkeeping pod consists of 3 members. We've got the bookkeeping pod leader, Matt. We've got bookkeeper, Jovi. Cue the music, if we're doing that. And then we've got customer success, which currently is Marissa. And those 3 work together as the bookkeeping pod. So the role of customer success, we haven't mentioned yet, is basically to field all inquiries from the client. And so within the bookkeeping pod, the bookkeeper and the bookkeeping pod leader, their key metrics are throughput and the getting done of the work, right? Like closing projects and keeping them under budget, time budget wise. Marissa, our customer success, the primary role of customer success is to delight the client, which is one of our firm core values. We always want to delight the client. And so while everybody should have a focus on delighting the client, like customer success, that's like their specific role. And so as part of that, basically all communication from the client gets filtered through customer success. So the admin, or as a customer success, takes all inbound communication, responds to that which she's able to respond to, and then only the stuff that's more technical and in scope, in theory, makes it to the actual accounting team, so that we're not interrupting the work. And so that kind of delineation, that outline of like, hey, this is what you can expect, that's also happening during onboard. And now we can shut about onboard. And that was a key piece that we left out. So once onboarding is complete, we set up the monthly project, and the monthly bookkeeping starts. We only do monthly bookkeeping, so we do not do quarterly bookkeeping or annual bookkeeping. I mean, we'll do cleanups.
The only difference between the surface levels would be like at the base level. It is like truly monthly bookkeeping. Like we're only going into the QuickBooks and sending whatever requests to the client on a monthly basis. But then on the upper 2 service levels, we're in there every week, and it doesn't change the deliverables process. But I find for the larger clients, it's almost necessary that they're getting transactions sent to them on a weekly basis, or if something comes up that we'd want to resolve like right then and there, we can identify it mid-month and rather than at the end of the month.
Yeah, and for context there, because I do think it's important to say, because it varies so much, like from firm to firm. When we say bigger clients, what would you say? Our bigger clients would be like $1 million to $3 million, right? $1.5 million to $3 million is probably our bigger clients, and then below $1 million.
I mean, it's really all dependent upon what kind of activity they have, but it just tends to be the larger.
I'm just saying that because I feel like
there's a variance.
Those are all relative terms, and so I feel like some people might listen to us and say bigger clients, and we say 3 million, and they're like, I don't like, it's not big if it's not 10, $10 million, right? So I just want to give the folks listening context. So from there, we start the monthly bookkeeping. Like Matt said, it's either done weekly or it's done monthly. And the bookkeeping flow is exactly what you would expect. I mean, we're going to categorize all the transactions in QuickBooks. We only work with QuickBooks Online, which I think we mentioned at the beginning, with a few minor exceptions. We've done a couple property management companies, and so we've dabbled in AppFolio and Redvine. But right now, we only take new clients. We only take QBO bookkeeping clients. And so we'll categorize everything. We'll reconcile every account monthly. And when we're done categorizing, we use Financial Sense. Again, that's our practice management system. So we're not on Keeper or Double, which
For the time being.
Which a lot of folks, everybody who we talked to who's on Double was like, oh my God, you guys are crazy.
We've had a few people that have been on
Well,
Financial Sense.
Perry is a fellow
We haven't
traveler.
got too deep into the Financial Sense isms with guests, but
Yeah.
I from what I saw, I don't know if there's too much of a differentiation. Maybe the loyalist would. I mean, the report generation seems like a nifty feature, but
I'm with you there. I think Double is probably better, but I also don't think that I don't think it's the limiting factor for our business right now. I don't know. In the future, maybe. But right now, we do everything in Financial Sense. And so when we're done categorizing transactions, Financial Sense has a feature module, whatever you want to call it, called recats, or I think now they call it month-end close. But basically, it links to QuickBooks Online. And so we're able to, anything we're not sure about in QuickBooks gets categorized to Ask My Accountant or Ask My Client. And then all of the transactions that end up in those Ask the Client accounts, we can push to the client once a month or once a week, depending on their engagement
the
type.
interval of their engagement, yeah.
Yeah. Gets pushed through the client portal.
Yeah.
And so then all the client
idea
has
is
to,
like they really don't have to have that much actual time in QuickBooks, which for a lot of people is a nice benefit. Yeah.
And it's good for us too, because we don't really want them in QuickBooks.
Right. You don't want to be acting against each other.
You don't want two more hands in the pot. Yeah. So the client will go into our client portal. We'll put in the information for the transactions that we asked them about. Hey, what was the, $100 on Amazon, whatever. And then once they've answered all our questions, the bookkeeping team gets a notification in Financial Sense. We go in, and then straight from Financial Sense, we can put in the appropriate categories and push the transactions into QuickBooks. So that part of it is kind of cool. Beats the hell out of the old way of like having to export a spreadsheet of transactions and send it to the client. The client marks up the spreadsheet. At least that was our old way of doing it. So this is much, much better. So from there, what happens next, man?
From there, as anybody would be familiar with, we do at month end, we do our reconciliations, and we do once we have everything in, we do an internal review of all of the month's books. Which do you want to go into detail with that now, or?
Yeah, I mean,
we could just gloss over it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got our internal review standard, and so we've got our own checklist of like what meets the standard and what doesn't, and we try to make it as black and white as possible. But yeah, I mean, we've got our standard, and all the things you would expect, right? We're making sure everything is properly categorized. We're making sure that there's no weird discrepancies month over month. We're making sure that everything's reconciled. We're making sure that, there's no balances that are unexplained. Some and then some presentation things. Like we make sure the accounts, we like to have the chart of accounts numbered. We like to make sure there's no balances in parent accounts, so when you're looking at QBO, if there's sub accounts that there's no balances in the parent account, like just some presentation stuff. But just a pretty standard review process.
Right. And that's a two-part process. I mean, some projects will only have the reviewer as opposed to bookkeeper and reviewer, but for many clients, that's a two-step process. So you have two people reviewing it, and then resolve anything there. And then currently we use QuickBooks itself to generate our reports. I don't know. I'd be curious to know how many people that are using Double use the reports feature, because again, that to me seems like the biggest differentiator. And if you weren't using that, then I'm not sure if
drop us a comment, or if this is something that you're passionate about, we'd love to chat with you about it. Because yeah, this is one of the parts of our bookkeeping process that I'm not in love with. Is we just send out the QuickBooks Online, like little
a few of their
automated,
default
like,
reports.
Yeah, like you
management reports.
Yeah, the management reports where you can kind of customize what reports it puts in there, and so we'll send P&L, balance sheet, AR, AP summaries, and then we'll send like the P&L by month, year to date, that kind of stuff. But I don't love that part of the process, and the big
thing would
value
be
the clients.
Right.
Some clients get more value from it than others.
So some clients definitely have told us explicitly like that's something that they utilize just for their own kind of expense and revenue tracking. And then other clients either don't say anything. I mean, they don't say anything, or like you can just tell.
Presumably,
it's probably not the most valuable to them. So that's something that we were thinking about modifying in some way to make it either improve the readability, or just change the presentation in some way to make it more valuable to the client, because that is sort of the main deliverable that denotes the end of our process for
and
our
it's also
monthly
kind
projects.
and it's also kind of a pain in the butt because you have to like generate the PDF, save the PDF. We have like a template email. You got to open the template email, attach the PDF. The Double thing.
Nick's got he's a little bit computer challenged, so it's. But he's not the one. He's generally not the one generating those reports. So
I like minimizing the number of clicks. But anyway, yeah, that's the current process. And so from there, we'll push those reports out. Again, they go out via email. The client gets the email, and then we close the project. Every project that we do has a time budget, which is basically how long when we priced it, how long we thought we anticipated each project would take. And then two, we track time on client projects. So we're measuring, actual time to budget. If we go over budget, like not a big deal. But it's important to us to have that data so that we're consistently over budget on something. Did we underprice this? Is there a scope issue?
Something changed.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And then we also have started using those budgets to actual, time reports to manage our capacity. So we take all the projects and all of their budgeted times and we add them together weekly on our little scorecard that we review at our Monday morning weekly syncs, and then we compare that to the actual time that we've put in, and just kind of identify.
And that's supposed to be the forcing function to prevent a situation like we highlighted in the beginning, where we have 900 hours of
bookkeeping
work that's slated to be done.
It's on the right. So that's basically our current. That's the current bookkeeping process for standard bookkeeping. I mean, again, there's some other clients that we do some kind of one-off stuff for, maybe generate some extra reports.
External platforms.
Some external platforms that we work with. But that's basically the A to Z of like how we do bookkeeping, right? Is there anything we missed?
No, I think I would imagine that the actual doing of the bookkeeping is pretty similar to what other people do.
Yeah. So the last thing that I think is worth mentioning that kind of applies to the whole, doesn't really fit anywhere in one spot along the A to Z spectrum of how we deliver bookkeeping, but like applies universally to all of it.
It's continuous.
Thank you. That would have been a more succinct way to put it. But something that's continuous throughout the bookkeeping, the life cycle of a bookkeeping engagement. See, I couldn't even keep it short with your help, Matt. is how we manage client communication, right? Something that is ever present across all engagements. And admittedly, something that I simultaneously think we do a good job at and also believe that we could do a much better job at.
Yeah.
Not to go down a rabbit hole, but I will. I think it's like the single most important part. And it's not like a novel concept that I've come up with, but I really do think that the communication and the client experience is the most important part of the engagement. And that's why we care about it so much. And even though I think it's pretty good, I think it could always be better. So we have kind of two simultaneous goals when it comes to communication. On the one hand, we want the client to always get a fast, like a quick response. We want the client to feel heard. Because when clients come to us and we're doing sales calls, and I'm sure those of you listening can or probably resonate with this, the complaint we always get from people is my previous accountants never, like, I couldn't get a hold of them. They were impossible to get a hold of. They ghosted me, or I haven't heard back from them. I asked the question, I haven't heard back, and it's been like 3 weeks. Like, those are the complaints. And so we never, ever, ever want the client to feel, to be wondering, like, did the accounting firm just run off with my tax information and my money, right? Like, we want them to know that there's somebody on the other side that, you know, that's listening to them, and we want them to feel heard. And again, one of our core values is delight the client, something we take very seriously, and we want the client to be delighted with every interaction they have with our firm. And so that's the one hand, is we got to provide immediate responses to the client. On the other hand, we have to do the actual work. And at least I won't speak for you, Matt. Matt has achieved like just full self-actualization, and Matt can do like 7 things at once. But I am a mere mortal. I'll say it for you. Don't worry, I'll say it for you. As a mere mortal, I find it impossible to do 2 things at once. I am the world's worst multitasker. Matt's smiling. Matt. For those of you watching, Matt is smiling because he wants to talk. He wants to talk shit, but he's not going to.
No, I'll be generous and just say Nick likes to put a level of focus into the task at hand. He likes to be complete in focus. That's
Matt's nice way of saying that I'm a simpleton. I'm a simple man. But yeah, I'm not a good multitasker, and I would argue that nobody is except for Matt with the carve out that Matt is, but nobody aside from Matt. Us mere mortals walking the earth shouldn't be multitasking, especially not when we're doing people's taxes or their bookkeeping, things that in my opinion, require deep focus, unless, of course, you're the showrunner supreme of the Between Two Firms podcast. And so with that said, we want to deliver excellent customer service. We want to be responsive to the client, but we also want to protect our time and our focus and our ability to work on projects and not get pulled in 100 different directions and constantly be like putting out fires with clients, or just responding to like the next thing that a client throws our way and just becoming fully reactive. And so the way we've figured out how to do that, or again, it's not perfect, but it works pretty well, is again, mentioned it earlier, but the customer success role within kind of our bookkeeping pods. And the same is true on the tax side. So customer success, dedicated role, and I shouldn't say only because it's a bear of a responsibility, but their responsibility is to make sure the client feels heard and to be responsive to the client.
Also not only because, as you've alluded to, Marissa has this role on both the bookkeeping and tax side, in addition to some other responsibilities within the firm. So yeah, Marissa's doing all of it, but structurally, like conceptually, we think about it the same way. Mm-hmm. So basically what happens is how can a client contact us? Well, a client can contact us via email, whichever way is convenient to them, really. But
that's how they do in practice. We've started reining that in, or trying.
I mean,
to.
but the caveat is, and this will change too with the website refreshes. Like we want to, regardless of which way we receive communication from them, direct them to our preferred
portal.
communication, which is the portal.
Correct. Correct.
And I think that it's really mutually beneficial because one, we have like this continuous record of communication, and two, it's
At one
a
place,
central location for Marissa to be able to field all of these inquiries whenever they come, and then loop us back in within the same system. Like she can
Right.
field those and then direct it internally to whoever it pertains to.
Correct. And Mr. Wisp guy, it's also secure. Portal's secure. Portal's encrypted. Whereas my DMs are not. And so, yeah, I mean, like Matt
we don't
said,
send any sensitive PII over email, or definitely not SMS.
yeah. So, like Matt said, clients will reach out across text, phone call, email, client chat. And Marissa has eyes on everybody's email. She also has eyes on everybody's phone. We use Quo, which is like a VoIP system. So everybody's got their own phone line, but they can be shared, kind of like emails. And so Marissa's got eyes on everybody's email, everybody's phone, and Financial Sense, the client portal. And so basically her job is to just respond to clients. And so a client will ping us, and one of two things is true. I mean, either it's something that Marissa can help them with, in which case, if the client pings Matt, but Marissa sees it and says, oh, I can answer this question, she'll just jump in and say, hey.
It's often an acknowledgement of just whatever they said. It is the best thing in the immediate term.
Things fall into kind of one of two buckets. Either they're things that Marissa is able to answer herself, in which case it never even has to get to the accounting team. And in those cases, Marissa just, even if the question or the comment was directed at somebody else, Marissa can just jump in because she's CC'd on everything across all platforms and can say, hey, John Smith, saw that you reached out to Nick. He's tied up. I had a few moments, thought I'd get you an answer. And here you go. Here's the answer you were looking for. If it's something, to Matt's earlier point, if it's something that Marissa, it's something more technical that Marissa maybe isn't positioned to answer, then it's still critical that we acknowledge the question. Which is, I think what matters to clients most of the time is not that they get an answer immediately, like an answer to the technical question, but is rather that they feel heard, which requires immediate response, but not necessarily an immediate answer. And so that's kind of the second piece of what Marissa's doing. So a client says, hey, got this technical XYZ question. Marissa's going to read that question, and then she's going to either tag the appropriate accounting team member in it to answer. She's going to tell the client, hey, great question, or thanks for reaching out. Let me look into that and get back to you. And then she'll get back to them herself. Or she'll go ahead and send a scheduling link that allows the client to schedule a call with us. And that's just dependent on the client's service tier level and their service options that they have, if they got calls included, or what kind of level of advisory or whatever they're on. But the point is, Marissa is responding to all client questions, even when it's a client just uploads a document, right? A client uploads a document, we still want to respond and just say, hey, thanks for uploading, or received, thank you, right? We want every action the client takes, especially through the portal, to receive a positive response from the firm. And so that's really the key role of customer success. Because in doing that, now the accounting team, instead of having to go through and respond to all these, one-off kind of client requests, we only have to respond to the things Marissa tags us in, or Marissa highlights to us as things that require our attention. So, instead of responding to 20 things a day, you might be responding to 3, which is a game changer and has been a game changer for us.
Yes.
Anything you want to add there, Matt?
Just kind of what you touched on, where it creates a positive reinforcement, which not that we're not responsive on the other methods, but that one gives the most that medium gives the most complete response, and often the quicker response.
Yeah,
that's
and
not
we've
necessarily
gotten-
by design as well, but that's normally what it ends up being.
And we've gotten better about also, like, if people send things that are not sent through our preferred method, the portal, especially like sensitive information, we'll use that as an opportunity to just say, hey, like, thanks for sending this. I'm going to go ahead and shoot you a response in the client portal, and we're just continuing to train clients to use the portal. And make no mistake, I mean, it's not a perfect. It's not always as clean as it may sound, but generally, I think it's pretty clean, and it's gotten us, I think, really good feedback from the clients, and I think our clients are all appreciative.
Yeah, I think
really,
it's better on both sides, like we
Yeah.
said.
I mean, I think our client satisfaction is pretty high, I would say, and I'd also say, like, I mean, earlier we brought up the fact that we've got 900 hours of bookkeeping work that's like on the books that we're trying to churn through, right? Like, and I think that sounds worse than it really is, but anyway, I guess that's also
Someone is not
relative.
doing it.
I guess that's also relative. If you got a bigger firm, you're like 900 hours. Like, if you got 10 people, like, that's, it's no big deal. So I guess it's all relative. We do not have 10 people, but I think the strength of our communication buys us flexibility and space to kind of maneuver, or just gets us a little bit of grace from the clients on other things. So when a project gets delayed, the clients know, the clients feel like we're on top of it. We try to be proactive in our communication. When the clients respond, they get an immediate answer. And I think that buys a lot of goodwill. A lot of goodwill with the clients that actually goes a long way. And one thing that I'm kicking myself because I'm realizing we did not mention, and I think it's like the most important part of onboarding that I didn't talk about, is the thank you card or the new client card. God, how did I blame you? I'm gonna go ahead and blame you for leaving that out. No response.
I'm not involved in that.
Matt's tired. It's the end of the day. In my opinion, the most important thing that we do during onboarding is immediately, like the day the proposal is signed, we send every new client a card that's like, I can grab one. I don't have any on my desk, but a card with our logo on it. It's like a nice postcard. It's got our logo on it. And then on the back, we write a handwritten little card, not in my handwriting because you wouldn't be able to read it, but in Marissa's beautiful handwriting. And we just write a personalized card. Hey, John Smith and Jane Doe, really appreciate you guys trusting Saga Accounting with insert, scope of project. We're really looking forward to continued partnership with you, or we're really looking forward to working with you. Please don't hesitate to reach out if we can ever be of assistance. And then depending on the size of the engagement, we'll include, like a
Gift card of
gift
varying
card.
amounts.
Yeah, right. Gift card of varying amounts to go get a coffee or some donuts or an ice cream or whatever. Just something that's food based, universal love language. And sending those cards, I honestly believe has been huge for us because, clients are coming to us, they're complaining about their previous accounting firm, they never were able to get a hold of anybody, blah, 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 blah. And then they sign on with us, and within 2 or 3 days, they get a card in the mail, handwritten with a gift card to get an ice cream. And what we found is that it sets a super positive expectation or super positive relationship right off the bat. Like, the tone is super proactive and positive. And it buys us, room to maneuver, flexibility, grace.
Which we need after Nick has sold the moon in the sales process.
That's not true. It just buys us some additional kind of room to maneuver, some additional goodwill, and sets an immediate positive tone for the relationship. And we found it's been super beneficial because, God forbid, mistakes do happen. And then let's say, you have a client and, I don't know, a deadline gets missed or there's a mistake on a report, and before, without kind of this deliberate onboarding process, if you make a mistake early on in the engagement or something, a ball gets dropped, the client's like, these guys are, no different than my last firm or whatever. But if you start the relationship with that small kind of token of, appreciation and goodwill, clients, I think, are just much more understanding. When there is bad news or when things do go wrong. So anyway, that's been a huge hack for us, and I would highly recommend it. Like, it costs nothing. It costs us the price of a postcard and $5 to $20, which based on the size of the engagement is nominal. And I think it's a high ROI piece of our onboarding. So anyway, we've kind of jumped around a little. Hopefully Matt can piece this back together in post-production. But I think that pretty much covers bookkeeping, right, Matt?
I believe so. Yes. And yeah, I'll be keen to see how much of a process exists on the tax side.
But the tax process is sign proposal, do tax return, file. It's just 3 steps. There's 3 steps, and they're all written in crayon on a piece of construction paper that I keep on my desk. That's the extent of the sophistication there. Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's helpful for somebody listening. If it's not, then sorry about it. But you listened this far, so hopefully you got something out of it. If not, joke's on you. Anything else you want to add, Matt, or should we go ahead and wrap this thing up?
No, I think we went a little bit over on what we were intending for this episode, and I think we were pretty dense on information. So I think it's a good place to stop for this week.
Matt again politely telling me that I need to shut the hell up and talk less.
Unless you have something that you think that we missed that you'd like for me to expound upon.
No, I think that's it. I think you're right.
Okay.
So, with all that said, for anybody who listened this far, we appreciate you taking the time to consume our content and listen to Matt's beautiful voice. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, yours is the real treasure. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you. We're gonna again leave a link in the show notes you can click on to give us your info, and we'll get you scheduled. Or again, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, Realize, Discord, wherever.
Yeah, and barring the unforeseen, we plan to return to having actual guests in the next, or in 2 weeks. Should be the 29th.
Don't sell yourself short, man. You're a great episode. We'll see you guys on the next one, which should be coming out on the 29th of April. And until then, hope everybody has a wonderful end of the tax season.
Happy accounting.